This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories. And welcome to my review of Star Wars The New Jedi Order Force Heretic II Refugee. I know this wasn't on the weekly update, but I read like 100 pages of this book and finished it up yesterday. So I decided, since it's fresh in my mind, to have a review of it. And this book deals with two main storylines, as the previous one has. Again, this is split up between Han, Leia, Jaina, and Tahiri, who are going across the galaxy to help worlds that are in danger of either falling to Yuuzhan Vong forces or others. On the other hand, we have the storyline focusing on Luke, Mara, Danny, and Jason, who are looking for the sentient world of Zenoma Sakat that they believe could help them win the war against the Vong. And in this one, they're going to the homeworld of Chila, while Han, Leia, and Jaina are interior going to the world of Bakura from one of the earlier Star Wars Legends stories, The Truce at Bakura, but I'll be honest, I have not read that one yet. I think I picked it up a few weeks ago at a store, but I think maybe even a month or two ago, but as I'm still in the middle of New Jedi Order and am planning to do Dark Nest and Legacy of the Force after, I won't be able to get to that one for a while, so I can't speak to how fully accurate and well done the Ruby are in this, since this is my true first experience with them in Star Wars storytelling. But from what I could see, and from what I've watched in videos talking about that book, but I haven't seen too much of it, is that it is pretty accurate. They are using a technique called enchantment to essentially make people immortal, but, well, at least at this point, but they originally used it to have people be slaves and go and work their ships, becoming part of it. And at this point, they've made it advanced enough for it to really only have one or two people to power ships, especially if they're powerful in the Force. And the entire plot here is I think it was Prime Minister, I don't remember exact rank, but of the Bakura has sold out his people so he could become immortal, being placed into a droid's body through enchantment, and that is honestly, it was a pretty interesting story throughout it. I definitely knew there was something up with him, but I thought he faked his own kidnapping, or when we learned that he could speak the Ruby language, I thought that he was taken by a Ruby and enchantment was used to actually place another consciousness inside of his mind. Then I expect him to be a droid, but still I think it was a pretty good mystery for it. And everything that was done with Jaina and her helping out. I don't know her name, but it was a character that was more or less a foster daughter of Luke and Mara, who they would visit every so often to make sure she has been doing well, was honestly pretty interesting. Again, I haven't read Truce at Bakura, but from what I can tell is it's going pretty well off the lore, and the characters are being pretty well respected in this, and they don't want to be with the Galactic Alliance because of them not really being protected and feeling mistreated by them. And I think this is definitely going to have some help setting up stuff that goes on later with the Legacy of Force series with the Second Galactic Civil War. But Obviously, that's me having future knowledge of books that weren't even being planned at the time that, well, maybe they were being planned by this point because this is like the fourth to last book in the series. But yeah, honestly, it is getting pretty intense in the story as we get to the near end. But everything with Bakura was really interesting. The main stories are focused on were with Jaina and Tahiri discovering things from different ends, and Han and Leia had a less prominent but still important role in this. But it's, as I said, it's mainly focused on Jaina and Tahiri also having to deal with the Yuzan Vong personality put in her in, I don't remember which book specifically it was the one where it was set on Yavin 4 and Anakin had to rescue her. But that personality has come back, and that's the problem that's been plaguing her over the past few books since the death of Anakin has really been affecting her, and the Yuzan Vong Losing the War has been pushing this personality out. So honestly, I am excited to see where it goes with this because there really is no mention of that other personality in the other books I've read that include Kiri, but I am curious to see if that is something that pushes her towards the dark side, because I do know she falls and becomes Jason's apprentice when he becomes Darth Kitus. And just continuing through so many other of these different storylines with Tahiri, it was pretty interesting to hear her working with the Rin, who I'm assuming Droma from earlier in the series is the one who set up this spy network of the Rin, and obviously I could easily look this up, but I don't want to be giving myself these small little spoilers when I can just go and read the books myself. So as I was saying, it's a pretty interesting story, everything that's going on in Bakura, and also on Jags there. I forgot to mention that at the beginning, but Jag is mainly in space and having to work with Twin Sun Squadron since Jaina is stuck on the planet for most of this story. So I think everything with Jag, it was interesting, but the more interesting thing from the Fell family is on the Chiss side of the story. Moving over to that story, honestly, I think it was just really interesting to see more into the Chiss culture and from someone that isn't Timothy Zahn, since Timothy Zahn is the creator of the Chiss, and where most of the prominent stories come from are from him. Everything from Survivor's Quest to Outbound Flight, and even the new canon, the Canon Throne trilogy, is all done by Zahn, and from him not being an author on this book is honestly just really different. It is interesting to see someone else look at the Chiss Ascendancy and the people within it, and to have Colonel Fell in this alongside his wife and daughter was honestly pretty nice. There was the main conflict of the story since this is just them going to the Chiss to look through their archives. The conflict of it is that some of the Chiss that don't like Fel and humans being with the Chiss ascendancy try to kidnap his daughter and take him out. So that's a conflict about, maybe a little forced in just to have some conflict in this story. But as I predicted in the previous video from last week, they find Zenobia Sakat at the end of this place where they think it's going to be, and the next book is going to be focusing on them going to that world. But going back to this storyline specifically, I honestly really enjoyed just, as I said, seeing the ascendancy from another perspective that isn't Zahn, but also seeing it from a perspective of outsiders being inside the heart of the Ascendancy. Because really, when we look at the Ascendancy, it's always either through Thrawn's eyes or it's through the eyes of people who have got to know Thrawn already. And it is totally different here, where we have characters that aren't looking to join the Ascendancy, but make allies of them, with our characters being, of course, Luke, Mara, Jason, and the others. But it just makes things so much more interesting. And one thing I'm not really sure who they're going with in this series is the relationship between Jason and Danny, since I know it would ultimately fall apart, and Jason would eventually have his daughter Alana Solo with Tenel Ka. So I don't really know where they're going with this. But obviously, at the time, that wasn't a set point, so just looking back at it, it removes some of the intrigue. But yeah, honestly, like I said, this is a solid book. It's helping to set up the next book, which is the third to last book. And after this trilogy is micro trilogy is completed, there are two final books, being the Final Prophecy and Unifying Force. So I'm excited to be finishing up this series. It's been just over a year, so based on reading rate, I'd probably be finished at the earliest, maybe end of October, early November, but more likely in December. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.